Welcome to another edition of One on One with Mitch Lafon. Joining me this week from the band Venom Inc. is Tony Dolan. We go over everything from the band's history, the why, the where, the whens, and all that wonderful stuff. And on the second half of the show, I've got an interview with Alexis Mincolla of a band 3Teeth. They currently are on the road opening for Tool, and so stick around for that interview. I want to get right into this, not too much talk up. Let's get right into Tony Dolan of Venom Inc. We are speaking with Tony Dolan of Venom Inc. Good day, Tony.
Hey, speaking from the tour bus, we're just en route to San Jose.
Yeah.
Last night we played Pomona, and it was fantastic. The shows have been amazing so far, so we're quite looking forward to San Jose, the next one.
Yeah, so we have less than a week of shows to go in North America, and then you're heading off to, I guess, overseas, Japan and other places.
That's right.
Talk to me a little bit about the touring plans in terms of, will you come back to North America soon?
When we applied for the visas, because it takes so long these days to get visas for America, we made sure we got them for 12 months so that we could come back within that time period. So we haven't kind of planned anything. None of it was being set out. We've just said yes to stuff. So since we got together in March of last year, we kind of done nothing but touring. And the question about recording has came up over and over, and where, we're quite inspired by what's been happening, by the fans' reaction, and of course we want to record, so it's trying to look for the gap to do that. So what we thought was, if we get to record in the summer, we want to then push that album, but also with our sets, because we've gone back to the start of Venom, because it's not about anything but the music and the fans, and the legacy is so rich. We could do 3 or 4 different sets and still not hit every song we want to play. So the idea is to finish this stint. We did South America in December. We go to Germany when we finish in about 8 days. We go to Germany to headline a festival there, and then we have a few days off, and then we're back into Japan. But we got Vietnam, Singapore, Taiwan, India, Australia, New Zealand want us to go. So hopefully then we'll do the album in the summer, come back to the USA and North America to hit dates we didn't get this time, like Los Angeles, Vancouver, we missed out, Montreal, Quebec, and push the new album as well, and then go into South America following that. So say it's, Colombia, Peru, Argentina, Venezuela, places we didn't do on the stint we did in December. So basically, we just want to keep hitting everywhere we can. So the intention to come back with a new album and a different set again to North America will be September. Yeah.
Yeah, in fact, I was going to get to the possibility of a new album, but it sounds to me, though, as when you started this in March of last year, that maybe there was no intention of having a new album. It was just, hey, let's go play a couple of gigs and see what happens. Or did you always have an intention of, this has to lead to an album?
No, I mean that's it. There was nothing preemptive about the whole thing. It was a sort of fait accompli. I was doing a show where Mantis joined me on stage for a couple of numbers. Abaddon was in the audience. A promoter from Keep It True had seen that. He then contacted me afterwards to say, I really enjoyed the show. It was great. I see Mantis on stage with you. Did you know Abaddon was in the audience? Because it crossed my mind, what if Abaddon had got up and you played some Venom song? That was like, it wasn't that type of show. I didn't think about that or the possibility of that. And he said, well, if I booked you for Keep It True and you and Mantis were there with Pire Of Evil, if Abaddon just happened to be around, what would be the chances of him jumping up and you doing a few Venom songs? So that's kind of how it got put together. So, speaking to Jeff and then speaking to Tony, and we thought, okay, we could do that for the fans and just have some fun with it. So we picked 5 songs, and that's what we did. We went to Germany. We played half the set as Empire. We went off, and Abaddon came on, and then we played 5 songs, and the place went crazy. And almost before we'd even finished and left Germany, we were getting called to, like, people want to book you to do more shows. So we had to sit there and think, oh shit, okay, should we say yes? So we thought, yeah, why not? Why not? If the fans want it. So we've literally just been saying yes when they've asked us to go play somewhere, and so far we've been around the globe. And if we didn't put the brakes on to do the album, we'd just be touring constantly. It's like people can't get enough, and they just want to see it. The more we play, the more people want to see us play, which is a beautiful thing. But nothing had been planned. We didn't think, oh, we should do proper tours and we should, structure an album, and we've just sort of came up there. In fact, when we did the European tour before we did South America, we were only 3 days in when we got an offer for a live album. Please record a live album. Please record the DVD of the tour. And so, again, it wasn't something we'd considered ourselves. But after doing so many dates, we thought maybe we should put a live album together to give people the experience of us live. So it's kind of all making its own way, and we're just going along with it at the moment.
Yeah,
but we do realize now, yeah. I was just going to say that we do realize now that so many people are asking for an album that we figured we have to do it regardless now. So
yeah, you're sort of locked into it. Now, speaking of the live show, I did get a chance to see you play the Heavy Montreal Festival. 30,000 people kicking and screaming. It was, for the lack of a better word, glorious. I mean, it just, you thought, okay, Venom Inc., it's been a while. People don't, it hasn't really been, because it was in August, and you go, it's been 5 months. Are they going to be on the same page musically? Are they going to be tight? Are they going to be worth watching? Yeah. And boy, oh boy, did you ever deliver live. And it was fantastic.
Well, thank you.
And I think what was a bit... Go ahead.
No. I was just going to say, that's kind of... that's what's taken us by surprise. It happened to keep it true. There was 2,000 people there, and we just thought we'd go on, and we didn't rehearse. We just picked the songs and turned up in the same place at the same time and went on stage. And, we hadn't played together for all of those years. So it was kind of an unknown quantity what was going to happen. And so it took us by surprise. And it's been like that at every show. Of course you have those people, I just read this morning on a social media, some girl was calling people posers for going to see Venom Inc. because no Kronos, no Venom. And then everybody else just attacking her going, fucking hell, man, it was the show of my life. Are you crazy? You should have been there. And that's kind of what's happening. We're more of an event than just some cabaret characters, walking through a book of songs. We're not trying to make it 1984. We're not trying to rest on any laurels. We're going out there and delivering the songs the way they were the first time you heard them, and putting our passion into it and giving 100% of what we are. And if you dig that, that's great. And if you don't, that's great too. But I also think that, we're not trying to eradicate anything. You've got the best of all worlds. You've got your Kronos Venom if you want to go and see Kronos with some guys playing. And if you want to come and see Manus and Abaddon and me, you can come and see us as well, And if you prefer him, you prefer him. If you like me, you like me. It's like, I'm not looking for people to pick sides, but people should at least do that. Get in front of us and let it happen for them. And if you do that, if you get in front of us and you walk away going, it was okay, I could take it or leave it, then that's fair enough. But to sit in the sidelines or to hide in a basement somewhere under a blanket and write on the internet, you wouldn't go and say it on principle. It's like, you're actually deluding yourself a little bit, but you're also missing out a bit. You've got these guys as well who were part of that great legacy, and you deserve some of that. If you've been a Venom fan, even on one album or 10 albums or for the whole history, you deserve that. The reason we're here is for the fans, for the music, and you should allow that. But each night in America, we've been more and more surprised. Each show has been better than the show before, better than the show before, better than the show before, more crazy. And it's like, wow, it's taking us by surprise, just like at Heavy Montreal, which was a last-minute thing, and we just said, yeah, okay, we flew over there, and it was amazing, absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it was, and the band backstage, you get this picture in your head that it's black metal, it's death metal, whatever it is. It's all this imagery, and you think, oh, these guys are going to be these more horribly depressing people. And,
yeah,
and you couldn't have been nicer. Okay, so we mentioned the name thing, Venom Inc.
Yeah.
Why not just say, hey, this is Empire of Evil, and we've brought in another member, and this is the new Empire of Evil. Why? And I don't mean to sound negative, but why tread on the name? Is it just because brand is so important?
Well, I mean, the thing is, of course, you have to have an association. Promoters look for that, and the idea was, Empire of Evil is a different entity, so that isn't who the three of us are. That's who me and Jeff are doing something like that. Very much as the same as Abaddon when he does Abaddon's band. That's him. That's not us three together, or Mantis doing drill, or me doing Handcraft or something. Those are our personal things. When we come together, there's a different entity, and we toyed around with lots of names. Mantis came up with Iron and Steel, which we thought, okay, we'll go with that because that's a line from Die Hard and it's for the fans. But as soon as we put that out, the promoters, agents, management were all going, yeah, but it's kind of Venom, isn't it? So we've got to put that in somehow. And we were like, well, we don't need it. And they were like, no, we want to use it. Let's think of something. So, the idea was, well, okay, well, let's say how can we incorporate what we are and the fact that we were all part of Venom, and that was it. Oh, Venom Incorporated, meaning that everything else we do, we incorporate our Venomness in there as well. The logo is the original logo which Abaddon did, so we thought we'd use that because, there's been lots of crap going on from the other camp, and basically I think everybody just had enough and thought, fuck this, and there was a moment where there was a possibility of a reunion, and my guys contacted the other camp, and he didn't want to know. Fuck off, it's mine, I'm keeping it, you can't come anywhere near it, was his attitude. And basically we just went, well, fuck it, no one person has the right to deny the fans seeing whoever they want to see and hearing the music they want to hear. And the thing is, he's been sitting on his throne with total control. He's manipulated the record company, won't release the masters from our Prime Evil era because they say there's a conflict of interest with him. He puts a box set out on where he tries to eradicate the whole history, wipes everything that we did off the map, and then tries to belittle the other two members, and so it was kind of like, hey, enough's enough, and anybody who is dedicated to the original three members, that's absolutely fine. But those people are trying to convince everybody else that it's not the right thing. And we've got fans coming to the show who weren't even born when fucking Prime Evil was released. So they met Venom much later on. They didn't meet them in 1980, it wasn't the Hell or on the In League with Satan single. They met them much later. And they have the rich history that they can go back over. But they're as much fans of just the music. And we had someone coming from a magazine who had been waiting 30 years to see the band in San Francisco. And I said, did it matter to you who was in the band, during the show? And he said, by the time you started, I actually forgot and I didn't care. It was all about the music. And I said, that's why we're doing it. That's what it's about. It's about the music at the end of the day.
Right. You
can cabaret yourself and pretend it's 1981 all over again. And you can say as much as you want in the press. But what happens, it's the same thing with anything, like with a heavyweight boxing match or getting in the ring on a cage fight. It doesn't matter the bullshit you say outside. Once you're in the cage, can you beat him? Can you take him down? Is it real? Have you trained hard enough? That's where you do your talking. And it's the same thing with the music. When we go on stage, we're 100% genuine, 100% into it, and that's all we can do. If that's not good enough for a fan watching, absolutely fine. We've all got choices.
Right.
But to at least give yourself that opportunity first. Don't don't denounce it and don't limit yourself, is what I would say.
And there's already been a reunion of sorts. 1997, Cast in Stone had original members, and for whatever reason, it wasn't able to go on. But let me go back to the album just before that, The Wastelands, which was your last album with the band, which goes back to 1992. Talk to me about the circumstances of you leaving. Was it, again, just a business decision from the other members that, hey, this is Venom, this is a good idea to do sort of a reunion thing? Or was there more going on where you said, I got to get out of here?
No, I think, I think there wasn't any moment it was like, fuck this shit, I'm done. Or there was nothing like that. We got to the end of a contractual obligation with Music for Nations, and up to that point we were very excited about everything, and I think by the time as the Wasteland was coming out, we kind of read each other and felt we came to a natural conclusion, and it was time to do something different. It's easy to look at that period and say, oh yeah, well that wasn't like the classic period. Of course it wasn't. It wasn't 1981. But in that period, when heavy metal was not doing well, when grunge took over, when Britpop was commanding the charts in Britain, and heavy metal, for one degree or another, was being minimalized, we stuck to our guns. We fired on all cylinders and gave everything we had. We still went out and toured. We still pushed it. And we tried to stay as true to ourselves as we could. So we flew the flag for that period, and it was a difficult period to have mid-90s into the late 90s and then early 2000s to say, oh, well, then they came back to form. It's like, well, no, heavy metal made a resurgence. Your Pantera's launched, and then all the black metal scene blew up in the 90s. So the scene came back to life. That's why it was easier. If we'd stuck our guns till 2000, who knows what would have happened. But I think we pushed right through that whole period of changeover, and it just got to a point where I had an opportunity to do some acting, which I wanted to do. I was relocating to London, and personally I just thought the practicalities of being able to rehearse and being able to operate when both Abaddon and Mantis were still in Newcastle probably wasn't going to happen easily, and the work I would be doing would take a lot of commitment for me. We came to the end of our contract, and we kind of just agreed to just leave it where it was. We were very proud of what we did. We were very happy with what we did, and that it seemed like a natural high to go out on. And following that, they reformed to do a couple of shows and do Cast in Stone.
Let me get back to we were talking before about making a new album. When you sit down and say, okay, we've got the time, we're off the road, do you go back and say it has to be Primeval, it has to be Temples of the Eyes? Do you get inspired by that, or do you try just something new?
I think it's as Mantis would tell you himself, he's constantly writing, constantly. I mean, there's riffs all over the place. I do that myself when I'm at home. I'm not the same as him. I sort of sit down and have sessions to write, but he's just constantly thinking about it. And like Abaddon said yesterday when we did an interview, it's whatever we do is going to be our identity, the three of us, just like Primeval was. What we've discovered is there's a chemical balance when we play live that we didn't actually realize we had before. And now, being elder statesmen, we can understand that. What we want to do is we want to commit that in a very real way, like old albums would be doing. We plug a guitar in and we play it. We set the drums up and he plays it. We plug the bass in and we play it. So it's very much analog, not digitally controlled samples and overlaid things, but as bands used to be, because that's the essence of Venom, and that's the essence. It was always the essence of Venom, that verging on chaos, that craziness, and that's what we are as well. That's what we enjoy on stage. That's what the fans are getting. So that's what we want to commit. So again, no plan, no idea of like, oh, we have to try and manipulate it into a certain way. It has to be as good as this album, or as bad as that album, or better than this album, or in this vein, or this commercial, or that. None of that. Simply, we'll write songs, we'll play them. The good ones will be the album. The ones that are less good won't be. Simple as that. Simple as that.
In terms of simplicity, you have Pire of Evil. There's also Adam Kraft. Where does this leave us with those bands? Because I get a sense that the success you're having was sort of unexpected. I got a sense that you know, you got together, you were going to do a couple of shows and have a few laughs and then back to what we're doing. It's become more than that. Do you retire those bands? Do you just put them on ice for a while? What happens to Pire of Evil?
Well, I think from all our other musical endeavors, they will just continue in our downtime as projects and stuff. But for Empire, we've got the new album almost ready. It needs some touches left to it, and myself and Mantis are really proud of the material. I mean, it's some of the greatest material that we've done in it, and so we want to complete that and release it. And if we can do a couple of shows doing that, brilliant. But like you just said, this has kind of taken us by surprise. It's kind of taken our breath away a bit. And, you know, even though we've been non-stop since we did the first show, we still haven't had time to sort of evaluate it and to sit down and plan anything. So as long as people are asking us, we just say yes. If we can find the gaps to put the other stuff in, we will. We don't want to retire them because, you know, all three individuals are very creative individuals, very hardworking, always thinking of things, and some things won't fit the three of us as Venom, but they will fit the other things, and we'll support each other in those endeavors as well and help each other in those endeavors if we can. So it's about bringing it all together. Again, I go back to the incorporated, you know. It's not about leaving anything out. It's about who we are as a total entity. But the focus must be the Venom side of it, because what we're finding is across the globe, that's what fans want to see. You know, they're trying to split. Some people are trying to split it into two camps, and it's like, that's the foolish thing to do. It's not about, you know, it's not about a real version or a cabaret version or a reminiscent version or a cover version or that sort of thing.
Or as Kronos called it, a pale imitation. I mean, those were
pale. I mean, yeah. I mean, you know, he's got a pale imitation. He's got some guy who was in a Slayer cover band and a guy who plays in a Bon Jovi tribute band. You know, oh, we only do big shows. He only does one-off shows. I mean, there was just a report the other day I saw in contrast on Blabbermouth where someone said, we don't do club shows. We do what Venom do. Only do big shows. We only do a handful. And then somebody said, yeah, I saw them in a club when they did the US tour. Well, so he did do a club tour. He tried a club tour in Europe and it failed. It's like, look, man, you know, to say something in the press and think, well, I've said it now, so it must be true. It's like it's all products. But to call us a pale imitation, to call us a cover band, they're only talking about me. They're only talking about me because I'm not Kronos. They're only talking about those two. These are the two guys that fucking invented the whole fucking project in the first place. You're talking about one of the guy who wrote the fucking songs, you know, that they ended up putting on the albums, and it's like, so, you know, to say it's a pale imitation of who? A pale imitation of Kronos? You know, that's what he wants to say. What he wants to say, and he hasn't got the guts to say, is that Dolan's not me and he wants to be me. But the reality is he's been chasing me as a monkey on his back ever since I've been around. And it's like, I don't give a fuck what he does, what he says, what he plays. If he's shit, he's shit. If he's good, he's good. I couldn't give a fuck. I'm interested in what we do. And for me, you know, to say that we're pale imitation is bollocks. And for anybody to go, they shouldn't be playing any of those songs. You're trying to tell me that the two guys who were there and created this, along with Kronos, I'm not denouncing his part in it at all, because I am a fan at the end of the day also. But to say that these two guys can't play songs they were fucking responsible for is I mean, ludicrous. It's not even funny. It's ludicrous. I mean, those people saying that, including the Dark Lord himself, need to be put in a fucking asylum, really, when
Now,
you think about it.
In terms of interviews, I'll interview Kronos at some other time. Let's stick to the good. Let's stick to the good stuff. Now, you mentioned that Empire of Evil has this album that's ready to go, but needs a bit of tweaking. Is it not possible to just tweak it into a Venom Inc. album? I mean,
no, because it's a completely different entity. It's a completely different entity. I mean, a lot of people said, if you just put Abaddon in Empire, then that's a fait accompli. But it's something completely different. We played Countless Battery, Black Metal, which and stuff, Die Hard with Empire, and people even then were going, oh yeah, trying to cash in on those songs. It's like, no, we weren't. We said to our fans, when we got as Empire, we didn't have enough songs to play for a live set, and people were calling for shows. So we thought, well, if we go out, we're going to have to fill the gaps. So you're going to want us to play some Venom songs? They went, of course. And we said, you pick the songs that you want us to play. So the fans drove that. We didn't do it just to, sell an extra T-shirt or an extra ticket. The fans said what songs they wanted to hear. So we had been doing that with Empire. But when you put a Baden on that drum kit, that's completely different. That is completely different. And so we realized very quickly that would not be Empire. That would be something completely different. And so it needs to be a different entity. So we will do 2 albums this year, at the least, regardless of anything else. One will complete the Empire album, so that will go, and the other one will be the Venom Inc. album. And you will see the difference. If anybody comes to see the bands, we play differently. The structures are different. The intensity is a bit different. One's verging on absolute chaos and power, and the other one's more finessed, if you like. Like something more progressive. So, but then that's the beauty of the whole thing. We're musicians at the end of the day, not just guys in a band, and we want to develop ourselves. And by doing the other projects, it gives you that richness to be able to come back to, and then layer up the Venom Inc. thing. So it's the best of all worlds, really. From a fan point of view, you get to see all the characters that were involved in this favourite band from the 2 periods that you're interested in. You don't get to see Cronus Mantis Amazon on the same stage at the same time, but you do get to see them if you want. You can see them. You might see us more than you see him, but you can still see them. Right. And also from a musical point of view, you get as much music as you can possibly handle. You'll get new music from us, new music from him, new music from Empire. Abaddon will still put his album out. So, I think it's a win-win. When you're a musician, it's about playing music and playing music to people, and that's it. That's it. There's no more. Yeah, I mean, there's a story about an album that Kronos had Triumvirate or something, and it's been hidden under his bed for like 10,000 years, and it'll never come out, and maybe one day, and maybe someone will hear a track or something. It's like, I never, ever understood why anybody who wants to do something creative will hide it. Why would you hide it? Why would you not give it out? The whole idea is to be creative and then to give it to the world, and hopefully somebody will like it. And, if 50,000 people say it sucks, it's shit, but one person goes, it's inspired me and I love it, then is there no value in it? Of course it's valuable. Yeah, one person's reaction is valuable.
Now, I'll ask you one last thing, because I was told 20 minutes. We're at half an hour, but I need to know about the acting. You were in movies with Russell Crowe, Sylvester Stallone, so on and so forth. You're not getting these bit parts in a High School Musical. It's major motion pictures with major actors. Is that something that you would like to revisit, or was that something like, hey, I did it. I can say I did it proudly. Thank you. Now I'm just the music guy.
Well, yeah, I think I've always I've always been someone who likes to take opportunity and likes to try and challenge myself, you know, in my engineering or in any occupation or anything that I'm trying to do. It's about challenge. And I work the best under pressure, and the harder it is, the more I seem to respond to it. You know, the more I want to do it. I want to fucking prove something. And I'm proving it to myself. I don't need to prove it to anybody else. It's for myself. And, you know, that much like many things in my life, an opportunity came for me to do it. I said yes, I did it. Then I enjoyed it, and then I thought maybe I would like to be on stage. I'd like to do Shakespeare, which is one of my first loves, and I ended up doing that for the Royal Shakespeare Company. Then I thought, it'd be nice to do like some television, so then I did that, and then I thought it'd be nice to be in a movie, and then that happened. And it's like, I don't know if was I in charge of that happening, or was it just accidental? I've got no idea. But I think that when I did the last things I did in Culver City, there's an idea of Hollywood, and you have to be a certain way, and you know, it's kind of not who I am. I kind of, I'm not saying everybody is false there, but there's a way you have to be if you're in Hollywood and you're making movies, and it's just not who I am. Whereas I feel much more comfortable performing my music because you lose yourself in it and you have an immediate response from an audience, and I kind of like that. I do like the acting, but you don't have the same feeling. There's no direct communication between your audience. And so the last few things I did was a radio play, and then I'd done a few voiceovers. There's a TV series a producer's looking to get me to do in the UK. So there's opportunities, but I'm just focused on the music at the moment because I'm enjoying it. It's satisfying to be able to not only to be able to meet fans and have them say cool things to me or negative things, because they say both, but also to watch Manchester and Abaddon get the appreciation that they deserve, you know, directly from fans that you know, feel that these guys changed their life and their music. All of that is a pleasure for me to see. And so, you know, if we ever have downtime and we manage to get an album done and then I have a few months off, maybe I'll do some acting. But I don't know. There's a lot of commitment goes into it, and right now I'm committed to what we're doing with Venom Inc. Really.
Yeah, and you're doing it very well, and of course there is an immediacy and an energy you get from an audience that, you know, to go sit in the cinema and wait for them to clap at the end of the movie. It's definitely
exactly.
It's not the same vibe, right?
No, it's not the same vibe. I mean, you know, and if you're going to do a movie, it's like you've got to evaluate the script, and there's a whole process, and it takes so long, and then it takes so long before the movie goes out. So, you know, there's a lot of waiting time, and that's cool if you've got a good script and it's a good movie. There was a couple of things offered, but they weren't particularly the best things. So the agent just said, "Oh, maybe not, maybe we wait." And then I was waiting, and then I just thought I've got to do something, you know. So I find it very difficult to sit still. So I went back to doing my engineering and my production work, and then we started Empire, and Jeff called me, and then, you know, it went from there. Now we're doing this like 100 miles an hour, 24 hours a day. So brilliant, you know. I think life is an adventure, and it's about experiencing it with people. If an opportunity came up and a movie came in or a series, and there was time to do it, then great, yeah. But just do it. I think that's my one analogy that I would give from my own experience to anybody young who wants to do anything is like, do it all. Don't do none of it. Do some of it, do a bit of it, do it all if you can, but don't do none of it. You know, if you've got the idea and you feel inspired, then go be inspired. Just follow your dream, you know, and make it happen. It's possible. It's possible.
I fully agree. Tony, it's been an absolute pleasure. First, meeting you in Montreal, Heavy Montreal, was fantastic, and of course, speaking with you today has been great. And I wish Venom Inc. all the best.
Well, thank you so much. And I'm a very passionate person, so it may have sounded like I was being very aggressive about my stance on the whole DOLAN of Venom, blah blah blah. But it's only because I feel passionate about what we're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And unfortunately, I'm not getting your reception. The phone seems to have died. So Tony, thank you, and we'll do this again soon.
All right, thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Cheers. And there you have it, folks, my interview with Tony Dolan of Venom Inc. I certainly hope you enjoyed that. I've always loved some Venom in my life. The band was at Heavy Montreal in 2015, and I got to meet them backstage. They could not have been nicer. In fact, I don't think I've ever met a band that was nicer. They were willing to take pictures and chat and talk over food, and anything you wanted, they were willing to do. And when you think of a band like Venom and the image of the dark and the evil and all, you think, oh my God, it's going to be these horrible people that are going to, bite the heads off of babies. And, well, no. Tony Dolan and the guys in Venom Inc. were absolutely wonderful. So let's keep this moving. Let's get over to Alexis Mincolla of the band 3Teeth. They are on tour with the band Tool. And, well, here is Alexis Mincolla. We are speaking with 3Teeth frontman Alexis Mincolla. Lex for short, I guess, is the best way, right?
Absolutely.
Band is currently on tour with Primus and Tool. So let's get into this. Not only are you on tour with a band like Tool that's sort of revered and stuff, but they picked you. Tell me how this all came together.
Yeah, it's a huge honor, and it's tremendously validating as an artist whenever you sort of get that type of validation from an artist that you look up to and inspired you. And I was a big Tool fan growing up, so to be here and on tour with them is sort of a dream come true. How it came about maybe a year and a half ago, I was at a wedding in Boston, and I was the best man, and Adam Jones, the guitarist, was also a groomsman, and we had some good time to kind of click and hang out. We both went back to LA after that, just sort of stayed friends and built somewhat of a rapport. And eventually he sort of caught wind of my band, which I never really put in front of him. I was never like, hey, check out my band or anything like that. And when he found out that I had a band, he said, hey, man, I really dig what you're doing. I want to come out to one of your shows. And I was totally like, well, amazing. So I invited him up to the Viper Room. And he really had a great time and really enjoyed it. Said, man, you guys really do something awesome, and I really like your show. It'd be amazing to take you guys on tour. And it's funny because at that point I was like, it probably says that to all the bands or something. And I didn't really think much of it. And you sort of fast forward 2 months, and here we are on tour with them, which is just absolutely crazy.
Yeah, it really is insane. Now, what I enjoy about 3T, because I've had a chance to dig into the band, is your music is not just about music. There's a whole visual component. I mean, the videos you've put out are not just lyric videos. There's a lot of stuff going into it. Is that important for you, the whole artistry and imagery?
Yeah, I mean, my background is more actually visual arts in general, and to me, when I met Xavier and we sort of decided to, hey, let's start this project, I always wanted to really feel like an art project built on the chassis of a band. I thought a band is a great vehicle for an art project, and I think it's sort of I always wanted to make it something bigger than just a band. So for us, we're constantly coming up and, creating really strong conceptual identities around our music and making sure that, we sort of have this like holistic approach to creating that creates a little sort of a synesthetic experience, much like Tool for that matter. I mean, those guys have really, something that we sort of have been inspired by them. Our music isn't really like theirs, but in terms of their sort of conceptual ability to take their music into something bigger than just music is definitely something that we look up to them about.
Is that something then that'll be shifting? Like, as an artist, you have a different visual representation that you want to put out there. You'll change the music to adapt to it, or will you always sort of do this, industrial rock stuff and it'll be what it'll be?
It's hard to say. I don't look at any of our creative process in dogmatic terms. We're constantly evolving, and I don't think that I want to constrain it in any direction. As long as we sort of stick to our guns and say, we're doing what we believe we should be doing and having a little bit more of a sense of purpose to our music, and then sense of intention and meaning that I think from there it can kind of do anything, in terms of sound or visual.
Right. Now the first album, 3Teeth, actually came out in 2014. And you, in fact, weren't supposed to be on tour. You were supposed to be taking the time off and maybe getting back into the studio. So what are the plans for a follow-up?
I mean, we sort of had half a foot in writing and half a foot in touring last year, which, it's sort of tough to write when you're on the road as a band because there's so much going on. And, we sort of shelved about really, like me, 8 or 9 really cool ideas that we got to get back in and we just got to revisit. So as soon as we finish this tour, we're going to lock ourselves in the studio and really bleed for it, because I think our sophomore album is going to be the album that will define us as a project. A debut is always sort of this quirky, possible fluke of a thing. The fact that anyone really liked that was a super bonus. We really wrote that album for ourselves. We didn't know anyone was even going to like it. So the next one, we've got actually eyes on us coming out the gates with it. So we're just going to make sure we really just bleed for the product, put everything we have into it.
Is there a sense of greater pressure to do this one? Like, okay, now people are listening, we've got their attention, and we're not just writing for ourselves, we're writing for this audience. We got to be careful.
I mean, definitely there's a sense of pressure that the album's got to be good, because now there is eyes and ears waiting to listen to it. But at the same token, I think you can't really write an album for an audience. You still have to sort of write the album for yourself. And, the idea that as long as the 4 of us are really happy with it, because that was sort of the same formula that worked with the first one, just make sure that we push ourselves as 4 of us to be really more, to really challenge ourselves creatively and come up with something that the 4 of us are really happy with. I mean, I think that's one of the good things about the band. It's that we all, we're all really hard on each other, and we don't really let anything get past the 4 of us, and unless it's perfect. So.
You got to like that. Now, where do we go from here? The Tool tour is really for the month of January. It doesn't seem to be extended for now. Do you know if there will be more dates, or will you just continue on the road by yourselves?
Well, the last I had heard, it was like, it's up to Maynard if we want to do more dates, and we were just told to be on standby if there was going to be more. But as far as I know, I think he's actually going out with his other band, Crucifer, in right after this tour. So. That leads me to believe that there isn't any more dates after that.
So then you just retire to the studio and let's get started on that second one?
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that's what Tool is going to be doing as well. I know they got a lot of pressure on them to put an album out. And I'm sure that kind of coming off the heels of this tour, the band's probably going to be more gelled than ever and probably ready to hit it. So same thing with us. You use the momentum to get in the studio and get inspired and to really write something great,
Now, for most people that are going to listen to this, the band is new. They might not know the name 3Teeth, but of course they will. 5 years from now, they'll be looking back and going, "Oh, I was there at the ground level." But where?
We hope so.
No, we know so. That's how it works. We support our bands. We get them to that next level. But what is the history of the band? Like, what should a fan that's hearing this for the first time and hearing about 3Teeth for the first time, what should they know?
It's one of those things that I really like to sort of let people have their own sort of reaction without sort of any type of preconceived notions. I don't want to set the stage about what it should be, and I like the idea that people can sort of subjectively interpret what we do on their own terms altogether.
Sure.
So to me, I kind of like the element of surprise. I like the fact that on this tour, no one knows who we are, and people walk into the arena at 7:15 with their popcorns in their hands, and we're blasting at 11, just full tilt, and I imagine they're throwing their popcorn up in the air, like, oh my God, what is this? I like that sort of, that sonic assault, that level of surprise, that everything that we do. So, I mean, I don't really want to say, oh, expect this, because I think expectations are sort of the DNA of disappointment. So I think just come out and check it out.
Right, and it wasn't just so much about expectations. It was sort of the history of the band. You're from LA. You were signed to a label in Canada, in Toronto. How did these 4 guys find it? How did you find Xavier, Andrew, and Chase?
Yeah, so I was throwing this event in downtown Los Angeles called Little Death, and it was this sort of real cross-section of culture, whether it be sort of hard industrial music, some new techno and some weird dark trap stuff. And it was this really experimental space that sort of brought together a lot of like-minded creative people. And, you know, I had met Xavier and Andrew through that, and we, you know, kind of had this idea to collectively create this project. And that's when, you know, we ended up we're like, hey, we need a guitarist, and Andrew knew Chase, and you sort of have your typical band story right there, you know.
Right. You know, it's great. Now, a lot of people compare or have compared the band to Nine Inch Nails and Ministry. Were you fan of those bands, or is that a fair comparison?
Yeah, I mean, it's a fair comparison. I think that people like to compare things just for the sake of having some sort of a
Reference
language,
point, right.
Metaphorically. I do think we're very much so a different thing. But there's DNA of that in our music, without a doubt. And those are things that have inspired us and things we listened to and things we looked up to when we were younger. But I do think that we have sort of a significantly different sound, in a different feel and different attitude for music.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely it's a fair comparison.
Yeah, it really is. Lex, it's been a great pleasure talking to you today, and you know, continued success, and we'll do this again soon.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
All right, take care.
Cheers. Bye-bye. And there you have it, folks, my interview with Alexis of the band 3Teeth. I would like to take the time to thank him for being on the show, and also Tony Dolan of Venom Inc. Please do yourself a favor. Check out both bands. Maybe you'll discover something new. On that, I'd like to say, to discover me online, head over to Twitter at Mitch Lafon, MITCHLAFON, and the one-on-one Mitch Lafon page on Facebook. And with that, as always, bye for now.